Hi friends, it's me Kate. I'm here on my mat and I thought today we could do a softer sequence, really quick, short series of seated forward folds and other things inspired by the secondary series of the Astanga sequence. So if you're not familiar with the Astanga sequence, it is a very vigorous flow set up, and particularly for the secondary series, to focus on back bends and then also forward folding hip openers. So we can do some of those today before I record another video of me actually working with the secondary sequence with you guys. So this is kind of the low and slow version of some of the secondary series. Of note today, I am going back to my original audio solution. I listened to a couple of the videos that I recorded for you, and I think my other one sounded a little muffled, so I wasn't quite as satisfied with it as I would have liked. So we're going back to basics here, but I am increasing the frame rate that I'm recording in. So I'm going to be experimenting with that and seeing if I can find something that gives you a higher quality video that hopefully won't take up too much space on my phone. So be on the lookout for that. I'm always trying to make improvements for you so that you get the most out of this and that I have a really nice portfolio that I can share with all of my students. So let me know your feedback. Let me know if you liked the other audio, if you like this one better. And certainly with the video, I'm hoping that it turns out and it doesn't cause too much delay in downloading or buffering. So we're all on this learning journey together. Certainly I am with my AV journey, but let's get started. As always, you know, I like to start with beginning meditation, being seated. So I have my two blocks right underneath me on the medium height so that it's about 4 inches and 4 inches. So 8 inches total horizontally, 6 inches high vertically. And then I like to sit with my shin bones down on the floor, toes pointed behind me. But whatever suits you is fine. If something's more comfortable, maybe sitting in a chair or laying down today, all of those options are fine. So just find something in which you can settle into your body, into this place, and begin to focus on your breath. So if comfortable, you can close your eyes. And maybe take a couple rounds of some deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. And then release these deep breaths and begin to return to your normal breath flow, trying not to control it. And just notice where you are today. So maybe the breath is short and quick. Maybe it's deep and slow. You can try counting the breath. So noticing how many seconds each inhale and each exhale takes. Notice which one is longer or if they're about the same. And then we'll slowly work, if your inhale is the longer of the two, to bringing the inhale and the exhale to an even place. So if you're inhaling for 3, exhaling for 2, Maybe you can step back your inhale to a count of 2 to match your exhale, or increase your exhale, slowing it down so that they match at 3 and 3. If your exhale is a little bit longer, just stay with your breath where it is. We'll meet up with you in just a moment. And then once you have your breath even, now you can start to lengthen the exhale. Maybe holding on to it for another breath, giving yourself another count. So now maybe you're 3 and 3, and then 3 and 4. Maybe you can even get to a ratio of 1 to 2. So your breath on the inhale takes 3 counts, and your breath on the exhale takes 6 counts. You don't have to reach this ratio, it's just something to work towards. If you do happen to achieve that ratio of 1 to 2, maybe you can work towards lengthening your inhale and lengthening your exhale to maintain the ratio. So now instead of 3 and 6, you're at 4 and 8. And just work where you're comfortable. There's no need to overbreathe. If at any point you get lightheaded, relax your breath, breathe normally, okay? Focusing on your breath. If you lose count, just relax the breath and start again. Couple more breaths here. And then release all of your effort. You can slowly open your eyes if you happen to have them closed. And we'll begin. So we'll take a big inhale, reach both arms up, interlace the fingers, turn them palms face up. You know, this is one of my favorite stretches to get class going just because. We'll inhale, come up, exhale, bend over to the opposite side just because it opens up our rib cage, helps us breathe. So you can move from side to side, trying to keep both sits bones down on your mat. Can't get anywhere in life without breathing. So we'll release, shake out the hands, roll through the shoulders, all the way around. And we'll get started. So we'll come on to our hands and knees and do some cat extended cat. I can already hear my spine crickle crackling into place. So you know it's going to be a good one. So we'll take some big inhales and exhales here. Big inhale. Exhale, tuck the chin. Tuck the tailbone, lift the spine. Inhale, keep the back of the pelvis neutral. Reach with the chest forwards. Exhale and curl. Inhale and open. Exhale and curl. Inhale and open. We'll come to neutral. Now, because primary and secondary series have a lot of hip openers to start, we're going to start with a low lunge to keep this nice and low energy. So I'm going to use my blocks, bring them underneath my hands at the highest height. I'm going to take my right foot, step it up to the top of the mat. So now, keeping the hips parallel to the short edge of the mat, I'm slowly going to sink forwards into my low lunge, but I'm trying to keep my hips at the same level of being parallel the whole time. So I'm not allowing my right hip to creep forwards. I'm keeping it tucked back as if it could touch the heel behind me. And slowly sinking into the pose. So you can come in and out. Take some easy breaths. Big inhale, big exhale. And then we're going to hold on to our blocks, shift the weight back, and give ourselves a hamstring stretch. So we're flexing the heel and leaning with the chest forwards. Now my hamstring on this side, super tight today. So honestly, flexing my foot is enough to give me a stretch. So that's about where I'm going to be today. If you have the space to come forward, we're thinking about taking our chest and putting it on the top of our foot in front of us. You can adjust your blocks up or down if you need them. Big inhale, big exhale. Shift the weight forward one more time, coming back into our low lunge. And then we're going to transition back either through tabletop or through downward facing dog. It's up to you. So I'm going to do downward facing dog just because I want a little bit more of a stretch. So if you're in tabletop, you can do some more extended cat stretches. You can also reach back with one foot and just press the ball of the foot into your mat and act as if you could put your heel to the wall behind you, like so. And you can do that on one side and then the other. And then from here, we're going to draw the opposite foot forward this time. So this time I'm stepping forward with my left foot, allowing my right knee to come down onto my mat. And again, same thing here, low lunge. So I'm going to come away just so I can make sure that my hips are parallel and then sink right back down. Big inhales and exhales here. Breathing, engaging the back glute in order to open up through the hip flexor on the opposite side of the joint. And then when you're ready, we're going to shift back, take our blocks with us, flex the foot, and come forwards into low lunge. Maybe you have more space on one side or less space. Just be mindful. And then shift the weight forward one more time, coming into our low lunge. And then step back once again to something neutral. So either tabletop or downward facing dog. Big inhales and exhales here. All right, then we're going to step forward with the right foot one more time. Coming back down into our low lunge. And this time we're going to lift the chest a little bit more. So you can bring your hands onto your knees. Or if you had your hands on the floor, bring them up onto blocks. We're coming into our low lunge. So now that you're lifting the chest up, you're going to feel more of a stretch through the side body here and into the front of your thigh. So the more you lift the chest, the more of a stretch you're going to feel. So you can stay here or press the hands together and lift them up for even more of a stretch. Feels fabulous. And then exhale, come down. And you can either move the blocks out of the way or leave them underneath your hands. And switch. So not a long hesitation here. And then same thing. Coming up, if you can, if that's comfortable for you. And then pressing the hands together, lifting up. Big stretch, try to hold on to your pose, but very gently. If you fall out, you fall out. And then release. All right. So let's come back to neutral, whatever that happens to look like for you. One more time. And then we'll come all the way down onto our bellies. So we're going to do a little bit of a back bend here. If you'd like, you can bring your elbows underneath your shoulders and then engage your abdominal wall, pulling the low ribs in towards the spine so that you're feeling your belly lifting up towards your spine or the ceiling. So instead, here I'll show you if I relax all the way down, you can get your whole belly on the floor. Instead of this, we're lifting up. So pressing down into the palms of your hands on your mat. So you can use a strap for this if you need one. But what we're going to do is take our left hand, replace the right elbow with it, and then bend the right knee. Now here's where you can use your strap. So you can either loop your strap around your foot here or grab a hold of it if you have the space and just draw it in. Big inhales and exhales here. Trying not to sink into your left shoulder. So really lifting away from the floor with the opposite arm. And then release. You can make a pillow out of your hands. Rock the hips from side to side, releasing any tension that might have occurred or accumulated in the low back. And then come back to neutral. Same thing, this time right hand comes to replace the left elbow, bend the left knee, and maybe reaching back and grabbing a hold. Pressing the top of the foot into your mat. Lifting up and maybe even creating some resistance. So taking your left leg and acting as if you could straighten it out while you're holding it towards you in the pose. And release. Coming all the way down, shaking the hips out. Excellent. So then from here, hands come back and underneath us. We're going to transition through to child's pose just for a brief moment. Move nice and slow. There's a big back bend. So you can shift the hips from side to side here, allowing the low back to neutralize. If you need to, you can also remain still. So you can experiment with both kinds of motion and find the one that works best for you. Then when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. Now we're going to shift onto our butts for a little bit of hip opening action. So we're going to come into Janu Sirsasana or head to knee pose. So we're going to extend through the left leg. Right leg is going to come out to the side. Knee is dropping down. If this is uncomfortable, please make sure that you put a little bit of a lift underneath your knees so you have some support. Then from here, making sure our chest is parallel to the same plane as our foot. We're going to inhale with both arms. Exhale, come forwards. Taking a couple breaths here. Now be mindful, this is a short class, so this pose might feel really tight. And if that's the case, just breathe into your tension. See if you can get a little bit of it to release. Couple more breaths here. And then we'll inhale and come up. You can reach up with both arms. And we'll do the other side. So extending through one leg, bringing the other one up and in close to you. Same thing, inhale, reach up with both arms. Exhale, come forwards. And again, be mindful of if you have a difference between sides. Mine's pretty pronounced today. So give yourself permission to be where you are. You don't necessarily have to correct anything. There's no right or wrong way to be on your mat. And then we'll inhale, come up, reach up with both arms, bring both legs in. We can actually windshield wiper them from side to side. You may notice that your butt rolls forward. That's okay. So just know that as you're dropping your knees off to the side, you want to make sure you're rolling all the way onto the outside edge of your upper thigh so that you can massage the external rotator there. All right, so then from here, we'll sit up, and I have one more seated stretch for us here. So you're gonna take, we'll do our right leg first. We'll take the right leg out to the side by about 45 degrees. So options here are to fold your opposite leg, so for me, the left leg, in so that the sole of the foot is touching the sole of, or the inside edge of your thigh. The true pose has the leg behind us. So for some of us, this might cause a lot of pressure here on the inside edge of the knee. For me, today this pose just feels tight in general, so I'm actually going to take my blanket and sit up on the edge here. So I have a little bit of a lift. So now I have some extra space here. I'm not having all of this stretch in my hamstring, and I can still get my foot behind me without too much pressure here. But again, if this causes a lot of pressure in your knee, bring the foot to the inside edge here. You're still going to get the benefits of the pose. All right. So now from here, we're going to inhale, reach over with the left arm. Exhale, slide your right arm down your right leg and come into a side bend. So we're trying to rotate the chest up towards the ceiling. That's the end goal here. So you can use your blocks and allow, for me, I like to allow my elbow to come down onto my block because it allows me to stack some of my weight through my shoulder here and helps me feel more comfortable and supported in my pose. Making sure the top shoulder is reaching down the back as the arm reaches up. Big inhales and exhales here. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up, and we'll do the other side. So this time, opposite leg is extended and the opposite leg is bent. So this time my right leg comes in and either the sole of the foot comes to the inside edge here, or we rotate it back in behind us. So you'll notice there's external rotation in your thigh joint, in your hip joint here. If you have your foot in front, internal rotation, so the top of the thigh dives down towards the midline if you bring your foot behind you. So just be mindful of which rotation feels better for you today and make your choice. And then same thing, reaching up with the right arm, extending over to the left, and finding something that's comfortable for you today. So today, on the opposite side, I have my block on the medium height, or on the low height, I should say, and then on this one, I have it on my medium height. Still rotating the chest towards the ceiling if possible. Finding a big stretch. Deep inhales and exhales. The bigger you breathe, the bigger the stretch you're going to feel through the rib cage. All the intercostals there. And then we'll inhale and come up. Unwind your pretzel. Draw the legs up. You can drop your knees from side to side once again. Seeing how that feels. And then we're going to work our way down onto our backs. So soles of the feet on our mat. Slowly rolling all the way down. Getting ready for bridge pose. So soles of the feet are down on our mat, knees drawing in towards each other. If you can't keep them together, you can also place a blocking between the legs on the lowest height, just to give you something to hold on to. Then from here, we'll inhale and slowly peel the spine one vertebra at a time off the mat. So you can lift the spine in one piece, which builds strength, or slowly roll all the way up and down, which builds a little bit more flexibility. So for me today, I want to find a little bit of a stretch in my back, so I'm moving with a rolling motion. Inhaling, lifting the hips up. Exhaling, rolling them all the way down. You can do the same. If you hinge and keep the spine moving in one piece, hinging at the shoulders, coming off the floor, you can build strength, inhaling and exhaling there. Or you can hold all the way at the top. And one more big breath here, all the way in, all the way out. Draw the knees in, give them a squeeze. We'll throw in one spinal twist here. So we'll extend the arms out to the side, take the knees over to the left first. Taking some big inhales and exhales here. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale over to the opposite side. Inhale back through center, give your knees a squeeze. And then, believe it or not, it's time for Shavasana. So I'm going to choose a version of Shavasana that gives me a little bit of a sense of an inversion, because we skipped that. So I'm going to take my legs and put them up my sofa. But I also want to use a little bit of a lift. So I'm going to take a block and put it on the low height, I think, today, and then I'm going to stack my blanket on top just so it's a little bit softer. And I'm going to have it close to me. I'm not going to use it just yet. So I'm going to scoot up next to my sofa with my hips as close to it as I can get. And then I'm going to lean back into my arms and bring my legs up on top of the edge. So now from here, I can lay all the way down. I'm going to put my feet down if I can and lift up my hips so I can slide my props right underneath my sacral plane. So now that I'm here, I have a little bit of lift so my hips are higher than my heart, my legs are higher than my hips, and I can start to feel the force of gravity as it helps me settle into my pose. So of course you can choose a different option for Shavasana. Whatever suits you is fine. This is a nice option to help ground us and bring us back into our bodies after some of those big stretches. Hands can be relaxed at your side or resting on top of your stomach. Taking some big breaths all the way in, all the way out. And then releasing any control you have over the breath and relaxing into your pose. Noticing how you're feeling in your body, how your breath is moving. Maybe bringing your attention to all the places where your body is in contact with the floor. And then returning your attention to the breath, following it all the way in, all the way out. Now, of course, you're always welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But if you'd like to end with me, you can feel your breath begin to deepen. Start to find some small movements in fingers and toes, wrist or ankle circles. If you happen to have your legs up, you can bring them back so that you pressing the soles of the feet into whatever you have propping you up, whether it's the wall or a sofa. If you have props underneath you, you can lift your hips up, move the props out as you slowly lower your hips back down to your mat. And then from here, roll off to one side, being mindful of any props you have around you. Taking a moment here, big breath in, big breath out. And then we'll work our way up to seated. So thank you very much for practicing with me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, wherever you happen to be. As always, take care. Namaste.